Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Elena. For the video today, I created my very first ever reading journal. Here she is. I have been seeing these everywhere and something came over me this year. I just needed to have my own reading journal. This is an Archer and Olive notebook and I happen to already own this when I decided to make this video. So I thought perfect. About half of it I had already used for some bullet journaling and I'm a list person, so there are a ton of lists in here. But that still leaves over half of it blank and I turned that back half into my reading journal. I really like this journal a lot. It has this cute magical hand here with some planets and stars and moon and sun, you get it. It has an elastic to help it stay shut. It has this little ampersand ribbon to use as a bookmark to hold your place. And it even has a pen holder. So this notebook is the real deal. The paper quality is excellent. I really like having the rounded corners in my notebook. And this is a dotted journal. It's for bullet journaling. Before I show you what I've done in there, I will show you the supplies that I used to create this journal. So first and foremost, a pencil. I used a pencil. Just a regular mechanical pencil with an eraser at the end. I found this really helpful to plan out my spreads. I would use a ruler to make a really nice straight line, and then later when I would go over it with pen or marker, I would skip the ruler and just follow my pencil line, and this created a really nice organic feel in my opinion because the lines weren't too perfect, but they also weren't too crazy. You know, it's that happy medium. And then for my markers, I primarily use these Pigma Graphic archival ink markers. I got a pack of these on Amazon. For the actual writing, I use the Pigma Micron 05 archival ink marker. This is thin but not too thin. You'll see what I mean. And then for the thicker lines, like tracing boxes, that sort of thing, I used the number 1. This is a Pigma Graphic archival ink marker. I will link these down below. And then I also used a couple gel pens. I got these in a pack of 3. They're the Uniball Signo gel pens. I have gold, silver, and then also white, which was great for fixing little spots that I had messed up when I was coloring in and that sort of thing. It's really handy to have a white one. Also, I've seen people use this on a black background and it looks really cool. I might do that later at some point in the spread, but these definitely came in handy. And then I also used these alcohol ink markers. These are CaliArt brush markers. I got them in a huge pack with a gajillion colors. And I really like these. They're alcohol-based markers. So when you color with them, they really blend together very nicely and you don't see a lot of overlapping brush strokes, which is great for coloring. These would be amazing for those adult coloring books that people use. And these are sort of cheap, cheapy knockoffs of the Copic markers, but they worked great for me, so no complaints here. I really liked these. The one thing I will say about them is they do bleed. When you turn the page over, you will see it coming through. So anytime I used these in my reading journal, I made sure to put it on a piece of cardstock that I then glued into the journal. I wouldn't do it directly on the journal page. You could also I've seen people glue 2 pages together to cover up bleeding, but I didn't have a lot of extra pages to work with. And then the other type of marker that I used is these Tombow markers. This is what everybody seems to use in their reading journals. They're quite pricey. There's probably knockoffs out there of these. They're a water-based marker. I really like that they're kind of sheer. They work well as highlighters and they do not bleed through. However, they do show the pen marks if you overlap them. So that's kind of why I chose to use 2 different types of markers. Beyond that, I also used this glue tape dispenser. It's remember those old whiteout things from elementary school? It's like that, but it dispenses out a line of glue. This was really handy. It was really fun to use. Highly recommend this, and they're cheap. I also used scissors. I'm showing you this fancy pair of scissors, but I mostly just used normal regular scissors. And I also did some stamping in this journal. So I used the archival ink, black ink, for stamps. This does not bleed through or anything, and it came out black. I mean, what's there to say? It's stamp ink. It worked. And these are the stamps that I used. This set of stamps, they're all like mismatched now because I was too lazy to put them back in alphabetical order when I was done, but you get the idea. It's the alphabet in this cute typewriter font, and I think this added a really cute touch to my spreads, so I highly recommend the stamps. I also used this little hole punch. It punches out little circles. I only used this one time randomly in the reading journal, but you know what? It really came in handy that one time, so I'm mentioning it now. It was cool. And just a ruler, you know, handy to have for drawing straight lines. You know what I mean. So I was extremely inspired by all of the amazing reading journals that I've seen online. I will link in the description box some that particularly caught my eye, and you'll see when I show you my reading journal that I took a lot of inspiration from other booktubers. And I want to go ahead and say here, I cannot draw. I am not an artistic person, you know? So I had to get creative with this journal at parts where I just knew I'm not able to draw. I can't be doing all these fancy, cute little doodles that people do. I had to make it work with my skill set. So one of the things I was obsessed with in everyone else's reading journals are those little book tracker shelfie things that everyone's been drawing in. I think that the original idea came from Mandy Journals on Instagram, but she does these gorgeous spreads that she like colors in, and it's like shelves and little empty books that she can color in throughout the year and write the name of the book to track her reading. And there's like a cute window and vibey plants. They're so adorable. But I took one look at that and thought, absolutely not. I cannot draw that. However, I got around it by creating my own template for this in Canva. And I am sharing that template with you. It is a free printable linked in the description box. Check it out, download it for free, and you can use it in your reading journal if you are drawing challenged like me. I really wanted one that was fantasy themed. I'm primarily a fantasy reader. And on top of that, I wanted a cat that I could color in because my cat is white, all over white, with little pink ears and a pink nose. And every tracker I found online, every printable had a black cat. And don't get me wrong, black cats are adorable, but I wanted my cat. I also created a version for the dark academia girlies out there, and a version for romance girlies, and also a plant mom version. So there are 4 reading tracker templates. All will be free and available to you. I just made them on Canva. Each one has exactly 50 books to color in on it. 50 books is my Goodreads goal this year, so it just made sense to me. If you read 100 books in a year, you could use 2 of these. Okay, now let's get into the actual reading journal. I hope you enjoy watching me go through each spread and fill them in and color them and decorate them and make them look all pretty to the best of my ability. And then at the end, I will do a flip through and talk you through each spread, how I plan to use it, and what I plan to add in going forward. So without further ado, let's switch over to voiceover Elena. All right, you know I could not get into this without a Diet Coke to sip on in my adorable mushroom mug and a little candle burning for the ambiance. I used these little Post-it notes to remind myself what was going on each page because like I said, I had limited pages to work with, so I wanted to make sure I had it all mapped out and planned. So this page is going to be my reading tracker page. So I'm pulling out my homemade reading tracker shelfie and I'm gonna start coloring it in. I I hope that you find it as soothing as I do to watch this spread get colored in. There's something so satisfying about it. And you can see that these CaliArt markers that I'm using, they don't overlap. You don't see the brush strokes, and that's what I really like about them. They're so much fun to color with. I also used those metallic gel pens I was showing you to add in some fun elements with the stars and the sword. I'm flipping the page over so you can see these markers definitely bleed through, like they bleed through a lot. That's why I'm doing this on cardstock. Don't do it on regular printer paper, it has to be cardstock. Now I'm using my marker to go over the lines that I traced to make my little door. I traced the outline of the bookshelf tracker thing so that they would be the same dimension and look kind of balanced on the page. I just traced that in pencil and then drew in a very basic door here. And I know the handles don't look exactly perfect. That's okay with me. Like I said, I was going for kind of an organic look. I didn't want perfect lines because I'm not capable of drawing perfect lines. So doing it this way was more accessible to me, and I think it's really cute. And then, of course, I wanted to add some metallic elements using those gel pens. Now I'm just cutting it out so that the door will actually open on the page and you can see what's behind it. I used the glue dispenser tape thingy to glue these into my spread, and I think they look so cute. This was such a good spread to start out with. Now I'm writing out my 2024 reading goals. And I won't go over them here because Erin and I are going to record a little get ready with me where we talk to you about our reading goals for the year, but you can see them here on screen, obviously. And if the inside of the doors bothers you, how the marker is bleeding through, don't worry, it bothered me too, and later I went back to fix that. And I'm using the Tombow markers with those micron markers to give a little personality to the writing. This wasn't my favorite lettering in the journal, but I didn't think it looked too bad either. On the next spread, I'm going to do a book bingo spread. I really loved how this one came out. So I've gone ahead and drawn in the grid already just to save me some time. And at the top there, that little brown strip, I made a shelf that matches the shelf on my shelfie reading tracker at the beginning of the journal. I was hoping this would just kind of tie everything together. I did this at the top of every spread just so there was some kind of cohesion. It's not a full theme, but it's a little something something. Now, on the next page, you'll see there is a matching grid. That's because I'm going to do a Dutch door here in the journal. So a Dutch door is when you cut away part of a piece of paper in your journal so that it's shorter and it reveals something behind it that's written on the page behind it, if that makes sense. I started out by just coloring in that checkerboard pattern exactly the way it is on the spread behind it. And I cut out the top and the bottom and a little strip along the edge of this page so that you can see the book bingo title. I have seen some people use white washi tape to reinforce the page at the top and the bottom where they've cut out a piece. I think that is a really great idea, and I totally would have done that if I had white washi tape, but I didn't, so it's fine the way it is. And if you're wondering what this book bingo board is all about, I will explain at the end when I go through the whole journal when it's finished. And for my next spread, I have a DNF graveyard. So I'm coloring in all of these little graveyard shapes. I drew these out in pencil first, and it was so hard. I told you guys I cannot draw. It took me so many tries to just draw these simple graveyard shapes, but I think they turned out cute. I don't often DNF books, so 6 is honestly plenty. I'll be shocked if I actually DNF 6 books this year. Although, having said that, it's January 11th when I'm recording this, and I've already DNF'd 1, so who knows, maybe I will fill up this spread. So I'm not quite finished with that book bingo and DNF graveyard spread, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. On the next page, I had all of the grid lines mapped out for a tournament bracket. And you can see my sheet of paper where I drew a bunch of those little bookshelves for me to glue in throughout the journal to underline my titles and give it that cohesion, act as a little callback to the bookshelf at the beginning. Yeah. Next, I went onto a spread where I'm planning to put all of the best books of 2024. All of my 5-star reads, the best books of the year. I want to give them their own little space for each one of them to shine. And I doubled up on this spread because I'm feeling very optimistic about this year. I think I will definitely be able to have 16 5-star reads. Better to aim high, right? And I can always put in another spread just like this one later in the journal if I end up having even more 5-star reads. Next, we have the spread that by far took me the longest to make. It is the series tracker. So on this spread, I wanted to write out all of the different series that I'm currently in the middle of. I have a bad habit of starting a series and never finishing it. So one of my goals this year is to close some of those loops and finish these series. I do wish that I had squished the books together and not skipped a line in between each book because it ended up taking up pretty much all the space in this spread. There's not really much room for me to add more series. So if I start more series this year, which I'm sure I will, I'll have to make another spread later in the journal, but whatever, that's fine. Okay, here you can see me relighting the candle because this is a new day. Y'all, everything I just showed you took me probably 4 hours to film, and that's after I had already drawn everything out in pencil and planned everything out and made the trackers in Canva and all of that. So this just took me a while, and I was really tired and decided to come back to this another day. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm creating some grids, and I find it so satisfying watching myself highlight every other line like that. I saw other booktubers do that, and I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to need to do that. I mean, it's the little things. I don't know why that's so appealing to me. I decided to add some washi tape and little stickers to decorate this page, and then I'm just writing in the books that I have read so far this year, and I'm going to track the date that I finished the books and what star rating I gave each one. One of my goals this year is to read more books on Kindle Unlimited and borrow more books from the library. So I decided to create a spread just to track those things. Each one of these boxes represents a different month of the year, and I will write in what books I got from Kindle Unlimited and what books I got from the library each month. As you can see, this is when I busted out the stamps and I used them to label each box with its corresponding month, and they were so fun to use. I decided to go back to the tournament bracket page and add them in on those boxes too. Now I have a piece of scrap paper here, and at first I was just coloring with my markers to see which colors were my favorite, so I was trying to decide which ones I would use to color in the books in my shelfie page, but then I got an idea and I decided to stamp out a little circle of each of the colors that I want to use, and I'm going to use these to create a key on that page. I know that a lot of people like to write in the names of each book on their shelfie tracker, but my handwriting is just not that good and I can't write that small. So I'm just going to use this tracker to track the formats that I read my books in. So the P is for paperback, H is hardcover, E is ebook, A is audiobook, and the C is for a combo, because sometimes I will switch back and forth between an audiobook and a physical book. I told you I would fix the inside of these doors. I went ahead and colored them in to match the front, and I've just got a piece of scrap paper behind each door so that the markers don't bleed through. Next, I decided the headstones on the DNF graveyard page really needed some grass, and I did try to just draw in grass. Y'all, how do you draw grass? I could not draw grass. So instead, I got a little creative here, and I colored these pieces of scrap paper. And then I just cut them into little jaggedy grass shapes, and I think they turned out so cute. This is reminding me of like the Very Hungry Caterpillar, you know, that sort of style collage art. I think it looks really cute. And then I used my glue thingamabob to glue them to the bottom of each graveyard headstone. I also used the white gel pen to fix some areas where I had colored outside of the lines on these headstones. And it's time to reveal the whole reading journal with a flip through. I left that first page blank in case I want to add in like a decorative title page later. And then here is my reading tracker. I plan to write down every single book that I read this year and the star rating that I gave it, as well as the day that I finished it. The next page is my favorite spread. I mean, how could it not be? I think that it turned out so cute with the little bookshelf. I love how it's personalized to me, and I really like the little doors that open to show you my 2024 reading goals. If you're interested in how I decided on these goals and how likely I feel I am to actually reach them, check out the video Erin and I are filming this weekend where we talk about our goals. And back to the shelfie, you can see I've already colored in 2 books for the 2 books that I've finished so far this year, and I can't wait to just fill this in as I go along based on the format that I read each book in. My favorite part is the cat because it looks like my cat, Athena. On to the next spread, the book bingo spread. I added a little washi tape to make it look like a game board. I think it came out really cool. And I'm going to try to get 5 in a row. You guys have played bingo before. You know how bingo goes. I'm going to try to get 5 in a row of these little reading challenges. Now, am I going to hold myself strictly to this? No, but I think it will be fun to just see. And I did the Dutch door because each time that I read a book that fits one of the bingo categories, I'm going to print out a little picture of the cover of that book and glue it down to the corresponding square behind the game board grid. And I'm trying to decide what to do with the back of the grid. Should I draw the grid onto that side as well? I could write in the challenges again there, or would that just all be too much? I also thought maybe I would just put some cute stickers on there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. The DNF graveyard is pretty self-explanatory, but I do think it turned out really cute. I'm so happy I decided to add the grass. It adds just a cool little textural element to the page, and I'm almost like excited to DNF books. I know a lot of people make it their goal to DNF more books. I don't think I'm quite on board with that yet, but I don't know, with this cute of a spread, maybe I will be. Okay, the tournament bracket spread, there had to be one that I ended up not liking, and this is the one that I ended up not liking. These gray lines that I tried to draw in to show how the bracket would work, they look so messy and I don't know, it's just not my favorite spread, but they can't all be your favorite, right? So the way that the bracket works is that I will print out the cover of the best book of January and the best book of February, and they will go head to head, and the best book of those two will go into the next square. Then the best book of February goes up against the best book of March. The best book of March goes up against the best book of April, and I will slowly whittle it down until I get to the best book of 2024. Okay, I am psyched for the next spread, the best books of 2024. I made 2 pages of this, and I plan to create little mini booklets. That's what I'm doing with my hands here. I'm showing you that they will open clamshell style. I plan to print out the cover of each book on cardstock, and then you'll be able to see, the front of the book, how beautiful it is, and then on the inside, I will write my thoughts and why it was one of the best books of the year for me. And like I said, I'm being pretty optimistic here. I gave myself 16 spots, and if I read 50 books this year and 16 of them are 5-star reads, I will be so happy. Okay, back to this series tracker. Now, I want to be clear, I do not plan to finish all of these series this year. If I did, I feel like I would barely read anything else, and I have new series that I want to start, you get it. But these are all the ones that I'm in the middle of, and I'd like to close some of these loops, like I said before. So I colored in gray all of the books that I have already read, and all of the blank boxes are books that I still need to read. I do think that it's probably time that I finish ACOTAR and maybe even Throne of Glass as well this year. But, it's a lot of reading. Those books are chunky, so we'll see. And on the last spread, like I said before, I'm going to track the books that I read on Kindle Unlimited and books that I get from the library, both physical books and audio and ebooks that I check out on Libby. I decided to write in the books for January in the gel pens, and I kind of regret that because it doesn't show up the best. I might go over those later with black marker. And as you can see, I have plenty of blank pages left to work with. I think I'm going to start from the back of the journal and make a little spread for each book that I read this year. I'm going to put 3 to a page though, okay? I'm not crazy. I'm not going to do a full page spread for every single book that I read this year, but I might do a full page spread for a book that was especially amazing or especially terrible. All right, and that is the Reading Journal Setup 2024, my very first reading journal ever. And I have to say, I am so happy with how it turned out. For someone who cannot draw, I think it came out really, really beautiful, and I'm excited to use it. I definitely think I'll be able to keep up with it throughout the year because I really like it. It took a long time, but it was worth it, you know? So if you are watching this and thinking like, oh, reading journals, yeah, I mean, you have to be an artist to do one of those. No, you don't. I did it and you can too, all right? So I hope to see all of your reading journals. Please comment below if you are also doing a 2024 reading journal. Like this video. If you liked this video, please subscribe to our channel. And until our next video, see you soon.